bussin'.
Welcome to this.podcast. I'm your friendly host, Jay, joined by my friends. We got Co. Co, where you at? You messed up my drop.
Man, what we talking about?
And then we got Uncle Damo.
Hi, my name is Uncle Damo.
You can find this.podcast at linktree/this.podcast, and we'll meet you where you're at. And we got video on YouTube. I want to give a shout out to the Park Hill Golf Course for providing the lovely space, and to Mile High Festivals for this opportunity, along with Juneteenth Music Festival. So I'm gonna get right into it today. We got a special guest. We got a man of the culture. He's representing Denver, Denverite, born and raised. I mean, you can't speak Denver without saying this man's name. He's from the Park Hill neighborhood, East Side. He got a little bit of Montbello in there. Let's bring Norman Harris to the show. Give him a round of applause, y'all.
Man, it is extremely difficult to track this man down, ain't it?
Yeah, we've been trying to get you on the pod for how long we been doing this? A year plus?
Man, about 6 months, man.
A year. We've been trying to get you on the podcast. We always had you as one of our primary guests, and now we finally got you. We're so excited to have you, man.
I mean, he was acting so funny style.
He was, man. He was acting
like
a little
his shit
bougie.
don't stink.
Nah, he's a busy man, so I get it. I get it, man.
I'm busy. I don't even remember what I had to eat last night. Damn, he was not that busy.
Gummy bears.
Oh,
yeah.
What
Was they gummy
kind
for real?
though? What
Was they
kind
gummy
though?
for real?
They're gummy bears. Gummy bear.
How much THC was in them things?
Hey, we got that security detail. No one was like, all right, we're good.
No, man.
We're good.
But we finally got you, man, and you put together a lovely event, man. The last Thursdays is what we're doing right now, and the food trucks you bring out, things for the kids. You're just all about the culture and the community, man, and we just want to give you your flowers, man. You've been doing it for a long time, like since the Skyland days. I was talking to Shaka, and I don't know where he's at. He's supposed to be in here, but you always just been about the culture. Remember back in the day, you was like selling T-shirts, man, and making everybody's like prints on T-shirts, man. And it started from there, and look what you're doing today. You're like rejuvenated Juneteenth. Everybody knows your name as far as when it comes to the community, man. Like
That T-shirt business was my first real business.
Was it?
First real business, like my first LLC. And it was funny how it started.
How old were you?
I was 23.
Okay.
Got it.
I did like business ventures, but it was the first LLC that we started. And it was funny. I had some buddies that they all played in the NFL and football and stuff, and we were all went to college together. And one of them was just like, "Man, we should." Buying all the stuff because they were in the NFL.
You had the financials. That's how it went, man.
It was the off season, and so I bought like a T-shirt press, and I remember it didn't work the way we wanted it to the first time.
Got it.
And we threw it in a closet. And funny, Amir Lowe called me. Was like, "Man, what's going on with your T-shirt stuff?" And I ordered some different materials. I remember we made this Bob Marley shirt, and took it to work. And someone at my job wanted to buy it. I was like, okay, I think we got, like, if someone at my job wants to buy a T-shirt I made at the house, then it was, we felt like we had something. And, just really learned, there was so many lessons, business lessons that I learned from just a T-shirt press.
That T-shirt business was official, man. I remember honestly, I think I made an all-time classic of y'all's, man. I had the Nas on the front with the Hillmatic.
The Hillmatic.
Yeah. Yo, and the cool thing about Norm would bring you the T-shirt, man. He had it wrapped in plastic for you like it came from the cleaners, man. Real professional, dude.
Yeah, all about presentation.
Yeah, like real professional, man. And he was selling these T-shirts in the long baggy white T-shirt days. So the T-shirts that came to your knees.
You get special bigger bags.
Yeah.
Man, we would be coming out of Skyland, be hooping, and then Norm would pull up in his trunk and be like, "Yo, I got you."
Yeah. What you want?
Yeah, the Hillmatic. I remember we there was a Hillmatic one. That's the one.
That was
and
mine.
I wish I could go
That was
find
mine.
that image because we took a picture of Chauncey, and superimposed it. He was holding up the trophy for
when
he
they
just
won
got
in
his
high
MVP.
school?
No, this was right after
NBA. Got it.
Yeah, and
Got it.
you know, Illmatic, the record or the album by Nas. So we said Chauncey's Hillmatic.
I got no money for that shit either,
And
man.
we put it on the shirt. I remember going up to the rec center, and I think Rosano was like, it was Park Hill NFTs, and sold it like that thing went so fast that I couldn't make enough of them.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
that was the first business, and just I learned there was quite a bit I learned in terms of business from that type of having to run a t-shirt operation.
No, it was dope because
and Norm,
you
got a question for you. So, what's one lesson you learned at 23 that you still abide by right now?
Ooh, man, over promising and under delivering, right? And that was, I got myself in a lot of trouble, when not trouble, just in bad business deals, because I was always trying to close or get a deal and compromising my own business. Right. And so, I learned definitely losing some money on some deals or losing some friends because of a deal is a good lesson to take in. So, now I'm a lot more, careful in, some of the assertions that I try to make in terms of building relationships with people, because you can get yourself out of bounds.
Got it. So now let's fast forward a little bit, because you're taking that business acumen and the things that you've learned, and now you have the Hollering Group, right? So tell us a little bit about that, of like the inspiration, why you wanted to start it, and where you want to take it.
Yeah, a lot of the inspiration, a lot of my life has been born out of just some of the tough learning lessons that I've had to experience. And so the Hollering Group specifically was born out of our family not being able to keep our property on the corner of 26th and Welton. And so it's a pretty long, kind of drawn out story that I won't go too far into, but ultimately we were thrusted into a situation in which we had to bring on a capital partner to own part of our building. And in part of that transaction, we had to give up control of the building. And when we gave up control of the building, what ended up happening was those folks sold it without, we didn't have any control in it. And so I found out the day after Juneteenth 2016, after I owned that building for a year, that we were gonna have to sell it. And it was a pretty tough, walking around 5 Points and you own the property on the corner of 26th and Welton. It was really a foundational piece of my identity. And so when that was taken away, it really forced me to kind of rebalance and try to understand what my purpose was there.
Got it.
And so through that, we, I said that we need to come up with I need to have better outcomes for myself in real estate, specifically down in 5 Points. And so at the same time, I might have watched some movie. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, God, now I can't remember where the movie's from.
Strictly Business.
Strictly Business.
Absolutely.
And there's this, if you've seen the whole movie, there's this group of brothers from Harlem
Yeah.
called the Hollering Brothers. And in the movie, there's a guy that's, faced with this tough transaction, and he's trying to find a solution. And then out of nowhere, folks don't believe that these guys, they come in, like these brothers are bringing the value that they have. And so that was the concept of what the Hollering is, in terms of what that name was just, sometimes when we walk into rooms, we're really underestimated, and we're really, folks will make a lot of assertions and, without really kind of understanding who we are. And so the Hollering Group was born out of, the concept of it was born out of what seeing that on the movie and kind of built from that. But, it's much deeper than, strictly business.
This
That's dope, man.
podcast,
That's dope.
Bussin'.
And then with that, I think a lot of people are they starting to see the effects that you are having in the community, bringing black businesses to the forefront, and that is really dear to your heart, right? So with that, like transitioning, let's go to Juneteenth now, right? Because all of us were having a conversation on the phone a couple days ago, and we were just talking about, you know, Juneteenth back in the day, and then there was like a lull period, and then you kind of brought it back to the forefront. I want you to kind of tell that story of like, and I want all of us to tell that story of like how we remembered Juneteenth back in the day when we were coming up, why it was so important, and then how it kind of hit that dip, and then how you took the reins and kind of made it like one of the biggest celebrations in Colorado.
Yeah, I was getting a haircut yesterday and ran into a guy, and I was talking about my mom and dad took me out to California right before Juneteenth, 1984. I bought my first rap album. It was called What People Do for Money. My dad and grandfather owned a restaurant or a liquor store on the corner of 25th and Welton. And Juneteenth was really big for the liquor store from that standpoint. It was like our biggest day of the year, our biggest week of the year. And so my dad would set up a DJ booth. He was a DJ, and he'd set it up out in front of the liquor store and play records. Well, it was Stevie Wonder and all the stuff he listens to. And so I owned my first rap record, What People Do for Money. You go look it up. And my dad gave me I got my 10-minute set where I got to play the record on both sides. It was like so you played it. It was like the regular side and the instrumental. And that was 1984. My friend Jermaine and I were in parachute pants, put on a record, and we're doing our break dancing.
Like the MC Hammer pants?
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
The Hammer
you
pants
asked-
before Hammer.
Yeah, you ask
The Slammer pants.
what Juneteenth is about. It's about that.
Got it.
Right? Like, I got to buy my own record. I got to put my own clothes on. I got to go down there, play a song, and everybody was dancing to it. And so I brought up the barbershop. I was getting my hair cut yesterday.
Was it Frank's, man?
No, I was at Bears.
Okay, just make sure.
Bears all day.
I'm a Juneteenth.
Yeah, you know.
Bear in the house.
Frank old 80, man.
You see the lineup. Yeah, I was at Bears yesterday, and I was getting a haircut and talking to his brother. We were going back through what was your favorite memory of Juneteenth?
Right.
And we were talking. He understands it from the years because there were some things that happened like '85. Like there's some markers there. But 84 was like this nostalgic year. So I was telling him, I was like, man, my dad, we had this record. He was like, I remember we were playing What People Do for Money. And, you know, like we know each other in adulthood, but we were able to dial back to this point, and we were talking about just the nostalgia and the love, right? And like, I mean, if you were in the 5 Points, you were in Northeast Denver, there was a love, and it was a community. Right.
Absolutely.
And so what Juneteenth was about were, you know, folks that were in their businesses that own businesses in 5 Points. They actually bought their businesses out on the street, shut down the street, and then invited the whole community to come down. And it was a real economic boost along with the celebration.
Yeah.
Right.
So we were putting our businesses on the forefront of Welton Street. And so that was just, I mean, that was like built into the DNA of my understanding of Juneteenth. And so we've taken those, you know, we've taken that in and kind of reproduced it in, you know, what today is. But if it's about everybody having an opportunity, you know, rather it be the DJ or the food vendor or organization or the kid, like everyone has, you know, kind of finds their place on that day, and we all just converge. And it was really special in that time. So, you know, I don't know if I'm answering the question.
Oh,
but
I think you're doing great.
It's what we want.
So 1984 was like that. You know, it's just like, if I can describe the love that our community have for each other, and that is like what we're at the heart trying to recreate. When we do stuff like what you see outside today, or when you do stuff in here, it just starts with how folks are connected.
Absolutely.
Right? And you know, so what happens at Juneteenth, you'll see, you know, I might show up, I don't have a table or a chair, and you know, this brother next door, like, oh, you got an extra chair? And you know, they're trading the chairs. Well, sometimes the like I'm borrowing, you know, XLR cables and moving them around for my, you know, it's a community event that comes together, but it's all like the foundation is love.
Man, Norm, and it's funny you say that, man. So
This podcast, bussin'.
So it's funny you say that, Norm, because, you know, as you're talking and we're talking about the whole nostalgia around Juneteenth, I remember my own Juneteenth experience was going down there with my dad. My dad gave me $20.
Yeah. Go find
And go have at it.
Yep.
My dad would go park up in the Capri. If I ever needed any more money or if I needed to kind of check in, I would pop into the Capri. I ain't supposed to be in there. Smoke filled the air. And, you know, you saw your family, your friends, the kids you played sports with, and it was just like everybody watched everybody, you know?
Absolutely.
And it was just this aura, man. And I remember like $20 and get you a $5 bootleg tape. You can go get some poppers to pop on the ground.
Come on.
You could go sit there and get you a couple drinks. I'm gonna run into Ahmad. I'm gonna run into Jason. I'm gonna run into Damien down here. Then we gonna run over. Like we just gonna run up and down that block for hours. And it was no issues, but you always knew if I wanted to find my parents, my dad's in the Capri Chicken, get some chicken gizzards that we gonna take home to the house and drown them shits in barbecue sauce.
You ready to boogie
Absolutely,
with that
man.
back?
What would you pay for an order of chicken gizzards from the?
Oh my
Hey, this thing
God.
is like $1.80.
Yo, like chicken, like that's but that's when you know you from Denver, man. You
Fam.
get some chicken gizzards from Capri Chicken.
Because you won't eat any gizzards from KFC.
I ate it. Them ain't gizzards.
But go ahead, Damo, talk about your
and,
experience
you know,
a little
one,
bit.
One thing that Sauce tapped into is like safety. Like my experience was a little bit different. Like, yeah, we went down there during the time that Courtney was talking about. My memory damn sure isn't as vivid as y'all's, but like I just remember like nostalgic, having a good time, you know, hopping around.
Yeah.
We saw Jay, we saw Ahmad, all Big Herm, everybody. But then it came to a point where it's like, you don't go down to Juneteenth. You don't go down there. And then this is the lull that we were talking about. And then
That point was you don't go down to 5 points, right? And so I want to just, before you go there, that point was you don't go to 5 points.
Sure.
Juneteenth was a reflection of that, right? It was like you don't go to Northeast Denver.
No, and that's what I wanted you to talk about. Is
Yeah.
like there's what the media said and what really happened were two different things, and that's what I wanted you to talk about, and then I'll finish up my story.
You know, I think what was happening was real. It's just how we chose to react to it as a community was something I think we can probably evaluate. So when these cycles come back again, that maybe we don't kind of choose the same type of reaction. And so like our neighborhoods were under attack. You know, there's gangs, drugs.
Early 90s.
Yeah, just a total flip of the environment that Courtney and I was describing. And so like our parents were under attack.
Sure.
Right? And so we're the victims of that.
Yes.
But our reaction, our community reaction was pretty interesting in that you got folks like, oh, I'm just not going back to Juneteenth. Or you got, oh, I'm moving out of 5 points.
Yep.
Oh, I'm moving out of Northeast Denver. Right? And so that was like me going to high school, or I was bussed out of high
Where'd you
school.
go to school?
I went to Colorado Academy. And so, you know, it was always, you know, the 5 points was like we'll go down and do something, like the 5 points was like
Something
that
ethnic.
happens down in 5 points.
Something
you know,
ethnic.
Yeah, it was
you
the
know,
hip
well,
spot, right?
But
And
just
you know,
something
that
ethnic.
just wasn't I never ever accepted that as a reality because it was just always beautiful to me, regardless of, you know, what the state was, it just was that. So, you know, I do think like it definitely impacted Juneteenth, but what you're talking about has impacted our community
100%.
Like, and I mean, it's the seeds of gentrification from where I sit.
Yeah, and,
Right?
and
And our reaction to it, right?
The reaction to it,
right,
yes.
Yeah, something
And then-
happens in our neighborhood, and then it's like, oh, it's time to leave. No, this is our neighborhood. It's time for us to fix it.
To nail down,
Right.
yes.
And so that was where I think we started to take just a different path. We should have been trying to fix Juneteenth at that point, not run away
and
from
so
it.
to your point, to move forward, it's like then you start to, like, as you turn into an adult, you want your kids to learn this, right? And so my kids, like, I needed them to experience the things that I experienced when I was young. And after that lull, it's like, look, I want, like, regardless of what's going on, I just want them to go, whether it's eat a freaking turkey leg or eat some black food, like whatever it is, like, let's go have a good time. And we went back into support the black vendors and suppliers that were there. And that was the purpose for our family to go to Juneteenth.
You know what's crazy
like
though?
that.
No, you know what's crazy? And one thing about my pops, man, he always made sure that I stay rooted in my community. So when I say community, like, yeah, I'm from Park Hill and shit, I had my boundaries. I wasn't just loafing over there on the east side when I didn't have to, right?
Yeah.
But my pops always made sure that I was at the Juneteenth, I was at the MLK March, and one thing my pops told me that I will never forget, man, he owns 2 houses in Park Hill right now. And he said, man, I will never sell these houses because black people belong in this neighborhood. And he always said that.
This podcast.
And it's something that always stuck with me. So I didn't give a damn how much violence was going down at Juneteenth. I was there. I just put it in my brain to say, look, when they start tripping, when they run that way, I'm running.
It's funny
but I'm gonna be there. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let the violence. I'm not gonna let the negative connotation of what's going on. Granted, bad things would happen at times at Juneteenth, but I would never let it steer me away. So I like the fact that what you said, Norm, in terms of, and Damien, getting to a point to where we nail down in the community and we start figuring out ways to change, as opposed to just dispersing and saying, we're not messing with that anymore.
No, that's beautiful, Cole, because I have the same sentiment. And, you know, for me, there's a lot of love and community in this room. So, you know, the people that we look up to and inspire to are out here. But you're right. It was always, you're going to support and, you know, represent your neighborhood. And, you know, Juneteenth, we're going to go participate. Of course, it might got a certain time. It was like, all right, it's time to go because we have no business down there. But to your point, yeah, it's what you both said is to fix it and make it ours, because it is ours. So for me, my experience is my dad would take me down there similar to Cole's, and, you know, we would go to the shops. I remember Kente Express back in them days.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Still there.
Bean pies. That was my first bean pie experience, man. Those things are good. Like, yeah.
Hard pass.
Shout out to Ron Springer.
Yeah,
Hard
man.
pass on the bean pie.
Kente Express.
Yeah,
tell you,
Capri's,
boy.
like all of that. So, Ethel's, like all those businesses, man. But it's beautiful to hear you talk about it the way you do. So, that little lull period, like I think, you know, to Damo's point, it was a little different for him. Where I
Big lull
remember,
period,
it was like a breaking up of, like, I don't know if it was politics, businesses, but they started separating it. It went out to like Montbello, and then it was at the 5 Points at the same time, and that was kind of different. And I think for me, that's kind of when kind of things went south. But for you, fast forwarding to the point where you were like, okay, Juneteenth is kind of, it's not what it used to be. And you took the reins and were like, I'm going to bring it back. What was that point for you where you like put in that work, and how did you get it to what it is today, bringing it back and even bigger?
There's no one point. I think it's all a progression. There's never one thing. There's never one thing that you're going to do that's going to change your trajectory of any work that you're doing.
Right.
Like if you're looking for that big break, it's like big break is doing it every day. Mm-hmm. And so I think what started was 2011. We were sitting on the corner of my grandfather's building. There's probably less than 1,000 people at Juneteenth. It ended at 5, 6 o'clock, and I watched the police line up, do that line where they used to lock each other's arms and walk down
And
the
move
street.
forward. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at that point, I was really bugging the current organizer to just get involved.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I can help. I know I can do better than what this is. And then probably 6, 7 months later, I got an email that said, hey, you're in charge of Juneteenth. But from that point, what we did was really, put a theme and put a put some substance to it, and that was the music. And it felt like Juneteenth was we didn't know why we were celebrating it over that time frame. Folks didn't connect with the history of it, and it was just being done as like a checklist item versus there being any passion or purpose to it. And so we came up with Juneteenth Music Festival and said that if we were to really theme it around music, it would be an anchor to draw folks in. And then we spent every dollar we had that year on a headliner, which was the Ohio Players. And it was just a real magnet, and was able to bring, garner the attention that this was still a viable celebration.
So, Norm, what does music do for Black people?
Music does a lot.
Let's talk about what it does for like Black joyous moments.
What type of music?
Any type of Black music.
We own a lot of music, man, from
you
country to
like,
R&B.
what does it do? Like, when you think about it,
hip-hop.
like, who you want to bring, like, pulling us out the weeds and, like, celebrating shit, like, having a good time, good vibes, we're hanging out? Black music.
It's a connector. It's rhythm, it's vibration.
Sure.
Right? And there's different vibrations that get you to different mind states.
Yeah.
Right? And so
And perspectives, right?
So there's I could probably go like my staff gets really mad at me because I'm real I grip the who's on the stage. Like I'm very protective on
like who you
the
invite
music
to the
program, because there's been some times where it got outside of my hands and we had kind of like maybe not as good an outcomes as I would want. But
so wait, real quick. So are you, in your mind, are you thinking about like how different artists will play with each other as far as music types? Or
the whole thing is how it all comes together.
Okay.
Right? And so that's the mix of who the vendors are to who the sponsors are to who the music is.
Got it.
Right? And so what I try to do is, in my mind for probably the last couple of years, I have a couple of target folks, and I'm like, if I can get her to come, if she really likes this, then I know I got it.
So
right?
Coach Herman is in the crowd, and I have to call him out. So what kind of music is Coach Herman listening to?
Tag team.
Hey, no, that boy's Charlie Wilson.
Tag
Charlie
team.
Wilson?
No, tag team.
Tag team?
Tag team. Tootsie Roll.
Jay-Z. Jay-Z's a little bit outside the Juneteenth budget. Just a little bit outside the Juneteenth budget. My bad.
Well, who we're targeting right now, I'm actually targeting my little sister.
Oh,
is who I
okay.
target, right?
Got it.
So Chelsea is, in her mid-30s, and she, which means she has a mother and potentially a child who she can bring to Juneteenth. Right?
Word.
So I'm like, okay, well, what does Chelsea listen to?
Got it.
If I can figure out how to get Chelsea to Juneteenth,
Back
I
that
probably
ass
got
up.
a whole bunch. But there's some nuances there, right? Because you bring
Juvenile.
juvie, grandma ain't coming with Chelsea.
Hey, I'm dropping it down for the 9-9.
So
but you have to think about those things,
Yeah.
right? Because you're trying to build that community. So like your range is from Ohio players. You've brought out Ashanti,
Jada Kiss,
Jada
Slick Rick,
Kiss,
Yeah.
locals. Kayla Ray.
Sammy Mayfield,
Yeah, I imagine Trev.
Greg Goodlow,
Yeah, man. So you like doing
Eastside
it all.
Jewy,
Yeah,
Ro
Eastside
James. Yeah, Ro
Jewy.
James. Sir.
Ro James.
Ro
We've had 13 years. It's been quite a few folks.
Got it.
Yo, so what are the artists' reaction when they come and they see Juneteenth?
Man, now
question,
that's
Cole.
pretty dope. I will tell you, I've had some good ones. The artist stories are the best. So I still say, shout out to Jada Kiss. I would bring Jada Kiss back every year to Juneteenth.
So real quick though, because Jada Kiss, we was upset. So I don't know if it was me, Lil Herm, and you, and we went up to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Jada Kiss was supposed to come
That was
out.
the first Jada Kiss.
He was there, but
we
he
didn't
didn't
we didn't
perform.
pay him enough
They
then.
didn't pay.
Yeah,
They didn't
man.
pay. They was stealing bottles of Hennessy from the back of the.
Oh
He
man,
did that bullshit like, it never came out. Oh,
Never
my.
came out on stage.
Yeah, we got the that was before the shirt business. So
Got
I
it.
didn't know
My
a lot
bad.
about
That was
business.
before the
That
shirt
was before the shirt business.
That was
My
in the
bad.
early
My bad. My bad.
Nah, let's
that
nail
one
down on them. But let's nail down on them artist reaction, man. I'm very curious to see because Denver, Colorado has a certain connotation.
Yeah.
And even when I have family, I have a lot of family back east, and when they come here and they actually see it, they're like, damn, it's pretty cool out here.
Jada's was the most unique, right? Because we were supposed to create this backstage area for him, and it got completely compromised. There's 500 people backstage, and so we're trying
Sounds
to
like a cyber attack to me.
Boy,
trying to,
where was y'all security?
in here, right there.
Like security just had ankle surgery.
He was talking to a girl. He was like, "Yes, after the night, just call me at normal. You know, I get off at 9. Like, no, you can go back and meet Jada. Yeah." So
Security was trying to kick it.
yeah, so there's like 500 people backstage, and like, you know, Jada, like they're calling, they're driving, and so we're trying to clear out the stage. I'm all worried, like, I'll get here, and then we got all these problems, and so he sends this guy out, and we were gonna put him in this, we were gonna put him somewhere that wasn't backstage. There was so many people backstage, and then this guy goes and he looks out on the street.
Okay.
And like, I just saw his reaction. And then we take him backstage. He's like, "Oh, Jay, this cracking."
He's like, let me get back to this.
Yeah, so it was a good icebreaker. So then, you know, like I said, there's levels. Jada was the coolest person ever, man, because he's been out here enough. I think he lived here. So he's like, we're backstage, he's pointing at people like, "No, she can come. I know him too." And
That's
people
what's
coming
up.
and Ashanti, that was a little tougher because she was, you know,
She a diva.
Yeah, she was.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
It's right. I mean, I guess if my daughter was Ashanti, I probably would
Dog,
be pretty tough on.
It's Ashanti. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
so it was a little bit. We
I
couldn't
was
have
trying to rush
backstage
on the
compromise.
stage.
Yeah.
What was her writer looking like, man?
Man, who's a pesca? I think pescatarian. I can't even say the word. A
Pescatarian?
She's a pescatarian, a fishcatarian or something like that.
A pescatarian?
A pisca something.
We got you.
It was like lightly buttered salmon with sea salt at this perfect temperature that we had to get there. It was
Wow.
But no, Ashanti was amazing. That show
It was crazy.
was the one that I remember. We finally got her on stage. It was like this point when you get everybody on stage and, like, you know, have this deep breath. And I remember kind of looking backstage and looking at her and then looking at the crowd and saying, "Man, I can't."
Couldn't believe it.
This was a little bit more than what we thought it would be.
Well, she was looking good, too.
Man, I never even got to meet her.
Well, Norm, let's give you your flowers, man, because
What's the perks of
was
being
looking good, but I
what's
never
the
got to
perks of
meet
running
her.
the show and you can't eat the work, man?
They had us stand. I tried to
Hey,
stand
did you give her
outside.
that color purple clap?
But no, Norm, I think that speaks to that was funny. That speaks to what you've done and where you've brought it with the connection of community and music. That, you know, you just deserve a round of applause, man. Really,
Yeah,
just,
you really do. You really do.
That was like a stadium round of applause.
But yeah, man. So the thing is, I want to shift gears just a little bit. Well, yeah, let's shift gears a little bit, and I wonder how everybody feels about this. And we talked about this within our pre-pod, but we got to clown Walmart a little bit.
Ooh,
First, let's pay some
Crack
some bills. So we got these Juneteenth brews and nicely made cans. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this before we get into the dumb shit that Walmart did? Tell us about the idea and where you want to go with this.
This is actually the second run. So we did this last year and made a few changes. I have an amazing partnership. I've been working with Spangling Brewery since 2014.
And who is Spangling Group Brewery?
They're a
Just give them a shout out.
They're a local-owned brewery down in 5 Points that I work with. I've been, they moved in during the kind of wave of gentrification, and I just kind of poked my head in there, and we just started working together. So we actually threw a beer festival together called the 5 Points Brew and Barbecue in 2016.
Got it.
And what we were literally trying to do was just push together what I see as pretty cool worlds of craft beer and genuine barbecue. So, we got a bunch of, hipster guys with the funny little mustaches and big beards, and they were 40 of them down there making beer. And then we had Big G and all the brothers that was making barbecue. We pulled a street permit on 5 Points and probably had about 4,000 people down on that day. And it was beautiful. It was back to, what that cross section was good music and good food. And so, but once we found out, like, hey, we can probably share a beer together or share a meal together, then, some of our playlists are matching. Like, oh, you like Griselda too? Me too. And, and
nice.
so.
We more than just St. Ives and Colt 45 and...
But and we all are, some of those guys drink more Colt 45 and eat more fried chicken than I ever have in my life. But I try to, what I'm saying is, like, my background has pushed me to, probably look outside of just what's right in front of us in terms of understanding, like, the value of people. And so, I think once, like, we all sit down and start drinking and kind of start just letting go of our, kind of pulling those layers back, and being a little vulnerable, there's that space that, people can really connect. So Spangalang itself was a brewery that was just down in 5 Points. They're the only brewery there, and we were going in and, started doing events and whatnot with them. It grew quite a bit where, we've partnered with them to, I've batched, we've partnered with them in a number of different ways that's led to this Juneteenth beer.
That's awesome.
No, that's awesome, man. I think, and that's tasteful, and that's the way it's actually a good brew. And
designed by Jermaine Jude, Urban Nerd.
Oh,
this is
really?
Yeah.
Shout out Jermaine.
Shout out Jermaine. Absolutely.
Nice.
But that leads me to, so I think, one, when I mentioned Walmart and what they did, I know probably a few of you in the crowd have seen that they tried to trademark Juneteenth. And that made a lot of people upset for various reasons, right? The fact you're trying to, trademark something and make it of your own where people have to pay in order to use it is just not, it's just fucked up. Because when you think about July 4th, Memorial Day, those things are trademarked. And second, it's not by us, right? Like, I don't think anyone outside the culture should be able to, capitalize at that point where it's like something new, they're trying to jump on, like they haven't went through the struggle, etc. And I think the fact that the way you just ironed out the story of how this flavor came about and what it represents is beautiful, man. And I think that's something that should happen. But I want to get your opinion, because I know you had an interview the other day that I had some insight to, about how do you feel about that situation of Walmart trying to trademark Juneteenth and then create this ice cream. It was like red velvet and cheesecake or some shit, man. And it's like, come on.
It was all, I think there's so many examples of it. Cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Is what it's called. That, we as consumers need to be, it's a consumer choice more than it is, like, they're feeding consumers. Right. So, I'm sure that particular instance when I saw it, I was very poorly. I was looking at, like, it was very poorly done. But I think we as consumers need to be a little bit more intelligent, because there are companies out here that don't give a damn about us, that know how to market to us, right? And they're not putting a dollar in our community.
For sure.
And they're not, so, I mean, while I'm, was disappointed with what I saw, I think there's a lot of bigger fish to fry in terms of where our consumerism is driven and where our dollars are flowing. And so I can point out a ton of different companies that are doing, massively bad things in terms of, providing opportunity, or just not really thinking about our community first, or even giving back, or taking so much. So, I think it definitely deserved probably the reaction that it got. But I think if we were to really start, studying where our dollars are flowing that's minuscule compared to some of the atrocities that these companies are doing to our people.
And I think that's a great point. And you talked about dollars flowing, but you said like there's bigger fish to fry. Like what big fish do you want to fry?
So the steps that we're taking with the name of our nonprofit is called JMF Corporation, which stands for Juneteenth Music Festival. And so for the last 12, 13 years, we've been really focused on producing the best Juneteenth celebration that we can.
Which gets recognized nationally.
Thank you.
It does.
Yeah.
No, it's a fact. It's not me saying it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's a lot of hard work. It's a celebration. It's a concert. It's a lot of things. But what we're also realizing is that what we're doing is we're really engaging our community and galvanizing our community to have elevated conversations to raise our community consciousness. Mm-hmm. And so our next steps with Juneteenth is really to push towards policy advocacy and to bring our organizing skills to just different platforms. So we're working on a partnership with the ACLU that should come into fruition over the next couple of months, where we're going to be really working with them to bring the community in a space to help them understand what they need to be advocating for.
Got it.
And so what that ultimately is going to lead to is, Juneteenth is now a city, state, and federal holiday, and that's opening the door to reparations.
Yeah.
Right. And so, back in the day, it was described to us as like 40 acres and a mule.
Yep.
Okay?
Right.
And I think now there's a much more sophisticated way that we can approach getting equitable outcomes at scale for our community. We're going to have to be just creative in how we do that. Mm-hmm. And
right.
so I think there's new business models that we can forge and new ways that we can come together to do that, and starting with organizing and bringing forth communities to really advocate for big things is where Juneteenth wants to go. So, at the heart of it, we have a music festival that brings 50,000 people. We have more programming that we're introducing that uses that same formula to bring people together, and that common denominator being music, but then charging them with purpose.
What is the process that you guys go through in terms of how you vet corporate partnerships to Juneteenth? You don't have to answer that, but I just, if you're comfortable, if you have like a vetting process to say like, look, man, we don't want to deal with corporations who we feel may be trying to appropriate our culture or trying to,
That's a great question.
Fortunately, I don't think we've come across any that's been too, something that's like raised. We've had some issues. I want to talk, maybe not corporations, but I say with politicians.
Okay.
Right. So we've had literally politicians that have wanted to use our platforms without any accountability. So
talk about that a little bit. So are you saying like, hey, give me the stage to?
They're like, hey, we want to
campaign, and then we're out.
We want to come. Like someone said, Donald Trump said, hey, I want to come talk on your show, but I don't want to talk about any of the things that you want to talk about.
I got you.
Right? You're like, well, this isn't a, it isn't a.
This isn't.
It's
for
a
you.
two-way street, brother.
Yeah.
This isn't a paid advertisement.
Yeah.
So we've gotten that quite a bit from our political constituents, just because we have a big platform. But I think personally, I've been very careful to make sure that Juneteenth doesn't kind of step into that where we're jumping on political campaigns for people, even my own. Yeah.
Got it.
You mind if I take a quick left turn? One of the things that you talked about.
Can we take a right one?
Let's take a right turn.
You're Damian Wright. I think you would want to take a right turn.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Come on,
I
man.
love that. So can we take a right
Lay
turn?
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you talk about is the value. Like you talked about it earlier, is like your team. Talk about your team and how they help you make this come to life.
Man, we wouldn't be sitting here right now at this stage on this couch with these lights if it weren't for like the team. And I'm just happen to get the accolades, but I start crying when I talk about like the contributions that they're making.
Shout them out.
So first, just shout out to my mom because she's the number one team, and my family that hold me down. But in terms of our festival and event production team, Chris Banks is like just probably the number two. And he's the operation manager. He's been riding with me since 2012. He's got probably the keys to my house. The phone numbers that you list, that you see, they go to him. They don't go to me. Mm-hmm. I trust him probably more than I trust, most people. And then Erica Wright.
That's my cousin.
You ready?
You forgot. Yeah, y'all from Georgia.
That's my cousin.
She was probably like the real catalyst for just the Norman Harris operations, because I'd say before I was doing this all, I wasn't using my
Needed some organization.
Very unorganized and just not trusting the right folks to kind of open up. And I don't know where she came from, but like in the matter of 2 years,
She's a godsend.
yeah.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
It was serendipitous.
And no, we work with her, and Erica is like
Sharp as a tack.
sharp as a tack.
Yeah, I mean, but just in terms of her, where she's pushed us in places that it just wouldn't be. And I don't have to itemize that, but it's just having an open mindset.
Yep.
And I'm a 45-year-old black man.
Yeah.
And I do things.
And she
the
gives
same-
you a perspective
I do
as a-
things the same. I listen to the same music every day. Same song. You listen same. I eat the same breakfast. I go to
That boy's eating the Perkins special.
Yeah, no, I just the
$2.99 for 2 eggs and 2 pieces of bacon.
Perkins.
$1,
He can't wait till he turns senior discount.
Yo, if you eating at Perkins, that's crazy.
Yeah, 45-year-old black man
That
eating
is
Perkins.
nuts.
Captain D's. Okay, we're talking about Captain D's.
They don't even take his order. They just bring it to the table.
This way getting them pancakes for
Damn,
Perkins.
Captain
And
D's.
Erica's like, yo, order an omelet.
There's
He's
not
like, no.
Long John Silver's.
Chris just called me and told me that there's a Captain D's all the way up in like Pueblo. So
Erica, take me to Pueblo.
no, what I'm saying, I'm pretty, but what she did was definitely make us get out of that routine. Shaniqua Jackson has been with us since 2012. She runs our parade. She was out there today with the Platinum Divas. She and Stanisha walked into my grandfather's building 2012. You talk about unorganized. We had probably a week to go before Juneteenth. The vendor file was underneath the couch. And they came and been running our parade. I just can't tell you what she has meant. We've grown. We've got Aaliyah Muhammad, who's running our logistics. So I've got pretty much someone that is on staff just pulling our permits.
Damn.
And so if I can tell you, that was a task that I was probably, might be the day before. We knew that Juneteenth was going to happen when I got that permit in, because it was just so much kind of on my plate to be able to delegate those things out within the event planning team has been it's been priceless.
So you got a large team, I take
And
it,
you've been
just
blessed.
to make this
I mean, you're looking
happen.
at, you see what this setup, and I'm going to always send shout outs to my partner Skinny. I've been working with Skinny.
Shout out
since-
to Skinny, yes.
Please shout out Skinny. That's
Absolutely.
why this thing looks good. But
Sounds good.
I'll call Skinny. We do First Friday every month. I'll call Skinny last Thursday before First Friday.
Damn.
And tell him, hey man, I got 7 bands down and 5 points I need you for, and he's there.
That's what's
Right?
up.
And that's over years of us working together. So Adra, who's been working with us since 2012, when I can tell you, there was probably less than $15,000 in sponsorships for Juneteenth that year.
Got it.
And, she has been, just tirelessly helping build that group. And then, we're well beyond that. I'm trying to think of else that has really just.
We'll put them in the credits.
Yeah.
We'll just put them in the
Those
credits.
are the ones that come to mind. Like, and I
If
know
this was the Oscars, they would have like played the music and been like, all right. But nah,
it should have been here. I would have mentioned them.
Nah, absolutely.
So Norm, I think for me, man, when the last chair is picked up, the last barricade is put away, and you get your staff together, man, what does that celebration look like? Is it just, man, I'm tired, I'm taking my ass home, fuck
Relief.
y'all? Or is it, man, yo, you take a deep breath, we did it, this was a success. What do y'all do, man?
I'll tell you what I do. The day after Juneteenth, I drive down to 5 Points. Like it's an automatic. The day after, if it's Sunday or Monday, I got like a wake up and I gotta go down there to make sure I didn't leave something. But it's the best feeling in the world to go down to the east side after Juneteenth. And you see like the old school guys, and you go by Sky. Like I'll drive down to the east side, and I'll come up 32nd. I'll go by Skyline. You see D-Ray and them out there standing.
D-Ray.
Yeah, and you see the folks that you saw this weekend, but they're reminiscing over what happened the weekend before. And there's no bigger paycheck than that.
Yeah.
None.
That's dope.
That's dope.
Little Harris, you see it in people's faces that they got that love that we're talking about. So
Hey, we love that. And
Man, what we talking about?
so,
My bad. Wrong
Norm,
one.
did you have a great experience today?
in what?
Today?
Yeah, every
Like, am I talking about?
Yeah,
tomorrow?
looking at you,
Hey,
like
Norm's like,
did you
guys,
have a great experience
I had
looking at
some
me, Norman?
catfish. I had some catfish.
Did you enjoy looking at me today, Norman?
I had some Juneteenth beer.
Yeah, what we talking about?
Did you vibe with us, brother?
man, I'm living my dream. I call Herman, my business partner, every day. Not every day I call him, but I call him when I talk about like I'm living my dream.
Yeah.
Like I wake up in the morning and I do the things that I love. And there's not, so yeah, every day has been great for Norman Harris.
So wait, man,
We're not
myself
special.
to
Wait,
it.
man.
He is so telling us. Yeah,
No,
this
I'm not,
is-
no
So
bullshit,
wait,
man.
wait,
I'm telling you, man. There was a day when I was working full time
Yeah.
at a Fortune 500 company that I probably could have just stayed at and retired from and been good.
Got it.
But you wake up every morning and you're jumping in the car and you're fighting traffic, and you get off work and they give you a check and
Go do it again.
Yeah, that check, they could have tripled that check, and that purpose, when you get in the car and you're driving someplace and you don't know why you're going there, besides that paycheck, that's not enough. So I tell you, like, for me to like get up and drive down here to Park Hill Golf Course, and for me to say, we own the Park Hill Golf Course.
Dog.
Like, do you know what that feels like? You know what I
Talk
mean?
to
Like
'em.
for us for this is ours, for us to come open this door
Yeah.
and say, let's go in, we can turn the lights on, we can turn the lights off, we can have Shaniqua and those guys come and pop up, do that.
Have this.podcast pop up.
Yeah, there's no, my dad used to tell me when he owned his building, and I seen it with my grandfather, it wasn't about the money that it bought, or the money that it bought in. It was every day my grandfather would go sweep the sidewalk, and he go set a stool out right on the corner of 26 and Welton, just sit there because it's his building, right? And so for us to have this opportunity, you can call me, we can do this anytime we want.
So you
Like,
did vibe with us.
Yeah, of course. I'll
You
buy
did.
it every day because
Yeah.
before I'd be on
The short and long is you had a great time.
So what's your favorite podcast, Norm?
Yeah, see.
See, you supposed to say this.
This dot. Yeah, you were supposed to. I thought it was supposed to be.
Hey,
This dot podcast.
All of a sudden, Norm had indigestion.
I thought it was coming.
No, you good.
Hey, so Norm, real
Until
talk.
last Thursday gets started, then we all gotta have some competition.
So,
Hey,
Oh,
but that's on
yeah.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
We're on Fridays. Anyway, who would you recommend?
This podcast.
Who would you say should be on this podcast?
I got some good names.
Give us 5.
Maybe two. Give us two.
2.
Y'all gotta start digging deep. You need to start telling us stories. Dr. Daddio, y'all wanna you wanna get some colorful folks. I get Daddio on here. So I'll give you a nugget. When you get Daddio on here, I'll bring him on. Ask him how he kidnapped the Jackson 5.
Okay.
Dr.
True story.
Daddy-O.
So that's the one.
Yeah.
So Dr. Daddy-O, we coming to get
We
you.
looking for you.
We kidnapping you.
I think it's someone else.
Hey, Dr. Daddy probably lives in Castle Pines and he's chilling.
Dr. Daddy-O will cuss you out. He tell you it's old. Yeah, but no, Daddy-O would be one.
He's a Colorado
I think you
staple.
guys got to start catching our elders with these stories. Like, I'm gonna be around for a while. Hopefully, you can start catching these. I wish I could have.
We tried,
I wish I
man.
could have
We
recorded my
tried.
grandfather more. Right? Like, there's some folks with some stories out here that once they're gone, they're gone. So
Right on.
Our grandparents. There's no one special. There's that's who got the history.
Nah, 1,000.
Get some of them folks on there and ask them what happened to the Dahlia.
Yeah.
Right? We'll
There you
get the
go.
high saws on
Oh,
here.
yeah,
Let's start
yeah,
talking about what happened to our neighborhood.
Yep.
Right? Let's bring that as a topic. I've
Hey, and
watch the folks you get
Hey,
watching there.
Absolutely.
And you have a very vivid memory, man. You and Courtney have memories like I've never seen before. I don't even remember what happened yesterday. Yeah.
That's a problem,
So
man.
props to you. Yeah.
Because you too quick.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give another.
You don't remember shit when you quit it happened fast.
I want to give another shout out to a close friend of ours. This wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Lil Herman. I want to give him a round of applause because he was the one that
Young
really plugged
Herman.
us.
Young Herman.
Young Herm.
Being
The
a
new
connector.
Big Herm.
Hey man, we had man. You know what? You know what I think.
He looked like
sometimes-
Kool-Aid back there,
Yeah,
man.
he
With that
sure-
big ass red.
He sure
That-
do.
no,
He
it's the
sure-
red
he
shirt. It's the big ass
Hey,
red
he just couldn't
shirt.
help it.
Yeah,
hey,
man.
but but kind of getting in this.
Just
spot.
so you know, that
He
didn't
looked
come from
like,
me.
no. He looked like an icy,
That
like the
is-
mixed icy you get out the. We've been trying to get you on.
Italian
tried.
icy.
Hey,
He had
man.
them Italian ices outside.
No, the one at the movies when you mix the blue and
Hey,
the red.
man, I was
Yeah.
just going to say thank you.
No. We
It
love
was
her.
not
We
a
love
shot.
her.
I would call.
hey, man, but
so I know his dad is not going like this, but when I call Herman, I call him Big Herm on the phone. So Big Herm.
He
I'll
is
call
the new Big
I would call
Herm.
him
Big
double OG Herm.
Big Herm. He's the new Big Herm.
Because
The new Big Herm.
Big Herm. He
Hey,
answered.
but
the
he'd
new
never
Big
be. Until he looked like Coach Herm did in that gun shirt back in the day, he'd never be Big Herm.
Listen,
He'd never.
hold on.
If he
1990.
Talk to him.
1990.
Tell him about the shirt.
Hey man, we gonna have a this.podcast gun shirt, man. We should do it. Just get them extra tight.
Fair.
I'm in shape. I'm ready for it.
It was the little cotton,
I'm ready for it.
but it was like the little cotton guns, but it was like right here, and it was
Man,
like
they put an iron over those.
a medium, and
Hold on,
Coach
what's
Herm
your-
would just be so.
Do you guys remember? Y'all played in the Pirates. Do y'all remember Herman back in the day? Because I
Hell
remember.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, what do you remember about Herman
No,
with the Pirates?
that's
So-
the Juneteenth you remember is the Herman I remember.
Hey man, my most vivid. One of my most
Right
vivid
on.
memories of Coach Herm, man. I had first stepped out on the field, man. Had never just really met Coach Herm yet. And dude, for some reason, I didn't bring no tennis shoes. I had sandals on.
oh shit!
Man, Coach Herm picked me up. He said, "Why you got these fucking sandals on?"
So with Coach Herm, I tried to play football one year. That didn't go well, but I remember I used to come to y'all's practice and games, and I tell you, when I saw this man headbutt a kid without a helmet and like crack the middle of his forehead
man,
and
it's
didn't
different.
skip a beat.
It's different.
I was like, oh, this man is different.
Hey, man, it's
like,
different.
I can't fuck with Coach Herm.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah,
different.
he had my respect from then on.
It's
I was
different.
like, yo, if
It's
he's out here headbutting people with no helmets and the kid getting a headache,
Yeah.
and Coach Herman fine, I was like, yeah, I can't. Nah,
Hey,
this ain't
and
me.
mine is a little bit different. There's very few people that believed in me
Right.
as an athlete, as a person, as you inserted. Big Herm was like, "You got it, big fella,"
You got it. You got it.
and that was a part of my confidence.
Shout out to Coach Herm. We've been trying to get him on
Yeah.
here for a long time.
And
Shout
now-
out to the entire community from coming out, and you never stumble upon the unexpected if you only stick to the familiar. So go out there and do dope shit like my man Norman.
Man, go to Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Man, go to Juneteenth.